Hello boys and girls, this is Voodoo Magic, the retro Game-a-Holic, bringing you another game with MRJobe versus Fritz Ridnuewr. This is game 3 in their series of 36 .7 games. The point 7 comes from one game where just Fritz got up about 7/10 of the way into the game and just ran out of the room screaming. So he got tired of getting beat. Fritz Ridnuewr is the number 14th best chess player in the world according to the Fighty ratings. So having been that upset, it really means something. So anyway, so let's get on with this game. MRJobe was selected to play the white pieces, and so he decided in this game to have a different opening than most people have ever seen before. He decides to keep all his pawns on the front rank and all his regular pieces in their position, and he moves this pawn up to take the rook. He goes in and turns that into a queen. So that was it wasn't a very good starting opening for that Fritz Ridnuewr liked too much, because what can he do? So all he does is he moves his knight up to protect his self from getting taken. But MRJobe decides, hey, I just got a free queen. So with a pawn, so this really is just a pawn, so he just takes that and moves over to check the king, and the king is forced to take. Now the king cannot castle and has lost already, as you can see, 2 pieces. Now the knight is here in the open, but MRJobe doesn't really worry about that. He moves his pawn up in order to bring out the ability to move his knight, his bishop, and his queen out if he so chooses. Now MRJobe decides to move the queen out first. Fritz Ridnuewr decides to make some opening lanes for himself, so he's got his bishop the ability to come out to here now. So MRJobe decides to go ahead and kill that knight with his queen. It has to be retaken, or it needs to be retaken, definitely. But he's left this pawn wide open, as you see. That's too bad, because MRJobe immediately seizes that opportunity to take the pawn. And he's really in a dangerous position right here, because if he does make this into a queen or a rook, he's going to be pinned against his queen. He's going to have to, not pinned, but he's going to have to move his king on the thing, and he'll lose a queen. So the queen goes ahead and gets out of the way. So he goes ahead and transforms this into a queen. He has to move down, of course. And here's the query that he has. I like queries, but not quarries. Quarries is where they take the rock and turn it into the different things. So MRJobe decides to take the pawn. It was wide open anyway, preparing the rook from coming up to h8 on the next move. Fritz Ridnuewr decides to use his knight to come down, so therefore his rook is actually guarding his bishop. MRJobe does this anyway. So what's Fritz Ridnuewr going to do? I mean, he decides to move this piece up so that he can have an outlet if he needs it, but we'll see what happens next. MRJobe decides to put the rook right here. Now he's in a very difficult position. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? I mean, it's going to be checkmate and 1. MRJobe is already guarding the rook. I mean, where's it going to go? How's he going to block it? Well, he actually has an idea. He goes ahead and moves his knight down there to protect it. MRJobe seizes the opportunity once again to take his pawn and kill the defender. Oh, now he's in a precarious situation, as you see. So Fritz Ridnuewr decides that he's going to go ahead and protect the pawn. Well, MRJobe decides to check anyway the king with the pawn. Okay, so he can't go backwards, he can't go over. He's going to be really hosed up no matter what he does. But he what does he do? Does he move the king over, and MRJobe's just going to take it with the rook, the pawn with the rook, and put him in check? So he goes ahead and leaves his queen there, and MRJobe decides to just hold off for just a minute, and he moves up his pawn to attack the queen. Now the queen doesn't really have anywhere to go, so except he moves back here. MRJobe then decides to move his other pawn over here up to block the queen's ability to take that piece. This piece is pinned against the king, so it cannot retake that piece. If he does take this piece back, he's going to be taken by the this piece. But the problem here in all this situation is he's still on check this entire time, and he should have moved out of check. So MRJobe, in order to not keep him in check, goes ahead and takes his pawn off the board. So otherwise it'd be stalemate. Fritz Ridnuewr doesn't have much he can do here. He does take the pawn so he can attack the pawn again, but MRJobe is getting really at this point. I knew from later on questioning Fritz Ridnuewr that he and MRJobe was really frustrated about this because it's getting kind of hairy for him. So he goes ahead and just takes the queen, gets that queen out of the way because it's just caused too much pain. So Fritz Ridnuewr is in a difficult situation. He cannot move the pawn. He can't go his king back here, and he can't move his king at all. His king is kind of trapped. So what's he going to do? Well, he decides to use one of MRJobe's own tactics, and he takes one of his pieces, his pawn, and he actually takes his pawn and kills MRJobe's queen. When MRJobe decides to move his rook down, put him in check. Well, he goes ahead and kills the rook with his pawn, while MRJobe takes the pawn. He takes the pawn with his queen. MRJobe attacks the king this way. Fritz Ridnuewr decides to take the bishop, but MRJobe takes the knight and is attacking the other bishop. The bishop takes the rook in a very interesting move. MRJobe goes ahead and takes the bishop back. Not very happy that it was taken in the way that it was. Well, Fritz Ridnuewr is going to go after the pawn here, but he protects the pawn. He goes ahead and kills the protector, and he reestablishes protection. Now, Fritz Ridnuewr is running out of pieces. And the only thing Fritz Ridnuewr can't do right now is check the king. He has not really much he can do. So he goes ahead and he kills the knight here on the back row and turns it into his own little personal queen. Oh, now the Tains have turbled. You know, the Tains have turbled. So MRJobe, in order to thwart this thing that puts Fritz Ridnuewr way out in the head, is he goes ahead and takes it with the knight. Takes the queen with a knight. And it was really frustrating to Fritz Ridnuewr because he had the game. He knew he had this game. So Fritz Ridnuewr goes ahead and comes down to potentially attack this, but he moves it up to block this whole entire row. He moves it over, but he says, nope, you're not going that way. So where can he go? He can go back and forth between these two spaces, but then MRJobe moves up his rook. So he can go right here, but MRJobe goes ahead and moves his queen right there. He moves back, rook, back, queen, back, queen. It's over and it's done. What a great game. Fritz Ridnuewr pulled some tactics on MRJobe that MRJobe has been known to do himself, and it put forth a very, very interesting and a very, very good game. The best game so far, and he still got beat, but he should be proud of himself in more ways than one. I don't know the other ways, but I'm sure there are more than just one way. So if you can like and subscribe to my channel, you'll see more of these videos with MRJobe versus different players. Fritz Ridnuewr, once again, is going to be the focal point of the next few videos because he's coming around. As you can tell, he's learning the tricks of the trade. I mean, he is a very awesome grandmaster himself, but he's never come across someone who plays the way that MRJobe does. So he's starting to take some cues from MRJobe and throw it back in his face. Luckily for MRJobe, he was able to pull himself out of this terrible situation he was in, and come back with the defeat. So anyway, I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe. Click on the bell so you'll see more videos. And I hope to see you all very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.